Texas from New York City to listen to No Holds Barred Network.
Enough is enough. They're always taking their sides, careless tonight, plus and minus their divide.
Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany, and I'm also joined by the Law, Ray Ramundo, and I'm so honored that we're gonna have, oh my god, you are absolutely amazing to me. I really was like going nuts at the ICW show. So guys, please welcome Akira. How are you?
I'm tired.
Sorry, 1 second, Akira. Tiff.
Yes.
So you're excited to see him, but you can't give him the proper intro at least?
You know, Ray.
Sorry, guys. Hold on 1 sec. It's my birthday weekend, so I'm going to take over. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here as we're doing another episode of Under the Ropes. And we are live with our special guest. He is bringing the American Yakuza. He is the Deaf Samurai himself, Akira. How's it going?
Oh God, I've not used that name so I used it for like my first year, and then people were like, "Hey man, if you want to go to Japan, don't use that name. We get it. You're Asian. Like in theory, you could totally use it. But if you use that name, and you try to go to Japan, you're gonna get stabbed." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll change that."
Oh, jeez.
We do our research, so I guess we'll talk about that in a bit.
You had to do your research. That's old. Like I tried to bury that as far as I could.
Oh, damn, Ray.
I did my research.
Damn, Ray. That's what happens. So, well,
but yeah, just moved in the new apartment. We got a ton of unpacking, but I moved from the ghetto to a nice place now, so I'm pretty happy.
Awesome. I mean,
congrats,
like I said before, I feel kind of bad that you're in the middle of moving and like.
And I don't have Nick Mondo here anymore, so people can't call me that. I've got like Takeda hair now, so I'm gonna get all those jokes. I have this joke where like I can't change my hairstyle because someone is gonna make some kind of other comparison to another Japanese wrestler. I'm like, I just can't win, man.
Oh, jeez. Can't win here. Absolutely can't win. So, but again, thank you so much for doing this for us. If you guys are new to the No Holds Barred Network and to Under the Ropes, we interview wrestlers, promoters, referees, anybody backstage. We love to get up close and personal with everybody. We want to know if you guys are not aware of who we talk to. This is why we do these interviews. So, are you ready to do this? He's ready.
Do it.
All right, let's
go.
do it. I
Here
do
we
it.
go.
Okay. You know what? Wait, before we go into these questions, I need to talk about your cute dog. So, this is the wholesome content that I'm all about here.
You won't let me pick them up. I can do this.
Oh, look how cute. Oh, like I go nuts on Twitter now every time you post pictures. Like, this is what I'm here for is the pets.
He was running around so much, and now he's just laying there, not moving. Like a nature documentary.
He's a poop pup.
He is a wild child.
I love
He's a
it.
spoiled dog.
Aw. Will we ever see him, like, maybe he'll come out to the ring with him, maybe? Or
He's actually pretty cool with that. He generally doesn't really care as long as like it's me or his mom holding him. He's been to the ring a couple times, like these really small shows that no one's ever gonna see, and like he's been in the ring with like fans at the show, and he's cool with it.
Aw.
It's literally just as long as his mom or I is holding him. It's cool with it. But now he's just dead.
So cute. Like I said, I'm here for all this. Scotty Serrati is in the chat, and he said, "Oh shit, pretty boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get this.
Wait, is Scotty talking about him or me?
Oh, what are you talking about, Scotty? Okay.
Scotty. He's talking about me. I don't have a name to him anymore.
Sorry, Ray.
It's just pretty boy. Struggles. He just calls me Star Boy now. I just go, okay.
That's
cool.
gonna have to be like how you get introduced now. Ray, like put that down in your notes. So like if he comes back for another interview, we have to name him a pretty boy.
That's what I have to add to the list of nicknames now.
And Carl just entered the chat because Carl was asking for the dog. So if you just like popped in now, you might want to rewind back to see the cute dog.
Yeah.
So
you also missed, Mr. Researcher. You did miss two names. The exotic weapon I went over for the majority of 2 years. But fun fact, because I started going by on my first T-shirt by my normal T-shirt designer. It's the exotic weapon in Spanish, so it's El Arma Exotica, and it's there's nothing cooler than going to Mexico and having fans just chant El Arma at you. You feel like a superhero. You're just like, all right, king of the world, nothing can top that shit. Like, but I try to do it in America, and there's like, especially in like some of these backwater promotions, like they're like El Arma. I can't. What's that word? And I go, you know what? I'm changing.
Okay,
it.
so I'll do the accent. It's El Arma Exótico.
Oh yeah. People are like, that's really cool, man. But I'm like, dude, I can't do it in America because they screw it up. So, but then someone made the comparison. They're like, you're like a samurai out there, man. And I'm like, all right, I do death matches. All right, there's already a death match samurai in Japan. How can I get through this? And I was like, I'll take the match off.
There we go. He's just Deaf Samurai.
That's smart.
There you go. I like it. I like it. I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe by the end of the podcast, you'll have some more names, too.
Oh, God. Well, you added Pretty Boy to the list. So
Ray, keep a list. Just in case. If you guys are in the
I
chat.
already messed up. I didn't do my research enough. Now we gotta research more and make up some names. We'll be there.
Okay.
Be good.
So.
It's going to be like that Wikipedia show. It's like, Wikipedia, is it real or is it not? And I'm like, all these lies. You're lying about me.
Just go back to the episode of Under the Ropes, pretty much. Like, we have all the names for you.
Mexican. No. I just smuggled them.
So, I mean, I was going to start my questions, but our boy Metal in the chat wants to know how your wound from the show is.
95%.
Oof. My goodness.
Oh.
Ow.
It's really weird because I'm going to have this, like, right here.
Yeah.
It's scarred up where it's like, it's harder there. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to have this weird little lump thing, I guess.
Oof.
Right, it's right where the sternum bone, like what's it called? The middle of the chest bone, right there.
Oof.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but then that's gonna scar underneath it too. So I'm gonna have like two scars, like I got clawed by a tiger.
Oh,
Or
jeez.
people say it looks like you got shot with a shotgun at point blank. And I'm like, you're not wrong.
Ow.
I guess that's what it is. Wrestling the bulldozer.
Oh, yeah.
No, like it's literally almost healed though. It's scabbing over now. So
That's good. That's good. I mean,
I've been working out for the past 2 weeks, and I'm just like, I'm feeling like pent up, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, all right, I can move. It doesn't hurt that much. I'm about to just get back into it because this new apartment complex has a pool and a gym. So
there you go.
I'm gonna abuse that the next 2 weeks.
The pool's good too to heal that up as well. So
I've also got my ankle too, because like when I did that jump and I got stabbed, like I jumped and when I landed, why I fell to my ass. It's because like I rolled my ankle as I fell, and then I got stabbed. So it was like bam! It just kept escalating, getting. And I'm at the point now where I can walk normally, but like my ankle still hurts. I'm just like, God, how is the ankle lasting longer than the stab?
Oh no, it's tricky. The ankle. The ankle's always Our girl April in the chat says you wrestlers are freaking crazy. Yeah.
We're not normal.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into the interview. Let's go into some of these questions. So let's start this off with, how did you become a professional wrestler?
So I graduated college. I was a college swimmer in college, so I was really athletic. I was also like 50 pounds lighter, because I was like maybe 140 pounds while I was swimming. And I graduated, and I was working like these factory jobs, and I hated my life. And I was like, this is not what I want to do, man. Because I was living in the middle of like Indiana, so there was nothing job-wise. I went for like marketing and public relations and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't feel happy doing this, and it's really hard to get a job. You have to have like 8 years experience. And I was like, I don't have 8 years experience, so I'm probably not going to find a job in my field. Kind of feel useless. But then I really got back into wrestling in college, like my freshman year. So when I was like, 18, 19, and I was kind of diving back into it, discovering more and more. I really didn't know much about the independent scene at all. I knew there was like random shows, but and I went to a couple in the Illinois area, but I didn't really get the independent scene. I didn't know a whole lot about it. But as I started doing as I normally do when I get really into something, I like dive headfirst into it, and I learn as much as I can about it. I mean, I still don't know jack. Like if you try to question me about like the history of Chikara, I'll be like, not a clue, man. Like a lot of New Japan stuff, I'll be like, oh man, I can tell you that. It's like I'm a lot of what I've learned is just learning over time and just by asking questions. But I got really tired of just working normal jobs. And I went to a live show, watched AJ Styles at a house show. And I just decided, it's like, you know what? I could probably do, like, not that, like, doing 450s off the road, but I'm like, I could probably be a wrestler. And I felt like I kind of want to do it. But then I watched Sakura Genesis 2017, where it was Okada versus Katsuyori Shibata. And I watched that, and I was like, all right, I want to wrestle. That's how I want to wrestle. Like Shibata and Suzuki were my dudes from the first time I ever laid eyes on them. But that match is what made me go, this is how I want to do it. I think I can do it this way. So I started looking for schools, and there was, honestly, in the middle of Indiana, like there was like the School of Rock, which I was planning on going, but I looked into it and they were closing that year. So I was like, well, shit. Not that, I tried looking around. I know there was, at the time, there was OI4K. Thankfully, I didn't do that. But there was a school in Terre Haute, Indiana, at a promotion called New Wave Pro. And it was like 3 hours away from me. And I was like, if I want to do this, I'm going to do it. I don't care. And like I was doing it behind my family's back. They didn't know that I was doing it. My mom is South Korean Japanese lady. She's very you get a job, do the job. It's not really about happiness. It's just about bringing in money. Be stable, And it turns out I'm the problem child. So I told my dad, like, when he found out, I was like, look, I already paid the money. I'm doing this. I'll keep the job that I'm working, but this is what I'm going to do. He's like, okay. He's like, I just want you just to go and do whatever. But he's like, keep a job, so hopefully you can move out and move on. And so I, like, every weekend I drive 3 hours one way. And luckily my trainer and I became really close really quick. Shout out to Blake Reed, he's still in that area. But like he opened up his house to me. He bought me food and stuff, and we'd sit there and we'd watch tape. We trained because there wasn't other students. The other students that showed up quit within like the first 2 days. But I'd be there all weekend, just like asking questions, watching tape, watching seminars, in the ring, just talking. That's all I did. And I'd sleep on his floor because he didn't have another bed. And I was like, fine, I'll sleep on the floor. I don't care. It progressively got dirtier and dirtier as time went on, but I was like, it is what it is. It's a means to an end. But then I trained for like 5-6 months, and I had my first couple matches that are like, I don't even know if you can find them anymore. Like they're honestly a lot of like my first year, because in my first year I had like 200 to 300 matches in my first year alone. I wrestled a lot for free, and it was also like, hey, we need to fill up the card with 2 or 3 other matches. I'd be like, I'll do them. I don't care. Paid $20 for that whole thing, and so it basically pay for gas, so I didn't really make any money. debuted, kind of started jumping out because my trainer basically, there was other people at the promotion that were like, you don't get to travel until the promoters say. And I was like, they're not my trainers. My trainer is my trainer, and he said I'm good to go. And my trainer's like, no. He said fuck them. You're gonna go. I want you to go. Get out of here. He's like, he's like, you're not gonna get any better wrestling here. And he's like, you can do more than this place. And I said, okay. But coincidentally, that was like he took me to a couple of promotions. So I kind of met people, did that new kid shit where you're really just there to say hi and meet people and connect. But I paid money and I got accepted to do the week-long seminar in LA with Katsuyori Shibata, which, as he is like my hero, like he's the guy that made me want to wrestle this style. I was like, oh fuck. I was freaking out like the whole week. It was on the flight there. I was freaking out. As I was waiting for him to come out to greet us at the dojo, I was freaking out. Just because he's my dude. All the matches I watched that week were just of his. Like I'm still a freak for his matches because I just love how he wrestles. Same with Suzuki. But then I went there, and that's when I really discovered that wrestling can be like it's essentially a martial art. You can have different styles, and it's just you don't wrestle. I want to do this move because it's cool. You want to wrestle because it fits you as a fighter. It fits you as a person, as a character. And it turns out like that style. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff they do is like it's tweaked a little bit differently. So the stuff that we do, which is muscle memory, it's because it's tweaked just a little bit differently. It fucking throws you like for a loop. So you feel like you're just starting over again, doing this. It's seemingly like basic stuff, but like that week just changed how I viewed wrestling. And just at the very end of it all, Shibata-san took me to the side and he was just like, Akira, he called me Alex at the time, too, but he was like, very fluid, very aggressive. He's like, you just need more practice. And I was like 4 matches in at the time, so like I really didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. And some still say like I don't, which I can contend, yeah, probably not, but I think I'm doing decent. But then that was like my dedication was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this style and this stuff that I learned. So like how I grab a headlock and how I run the ropes, learning from him. A lot of people when I came back were like, dude, you're not going to wrestle that style. You're not strong style, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, fuck you. I'm going to do what I want because it feels right to me. You don't know me. And generally that's how I've developed in my career. It's been like, I try to go with the flow and I try to be friends with people, but when I end up saying fuck it, I'm gonna go do. I don't know if profanity's on here.
You're good. You're good.
No, it's all good.
You're good.
All right. Like a lot of my success has been by going fuck this. I'm gonna do things my way, or I feel this is right. I'm gonna do things my way. Like if I hadn't started doing death matches, I wouldn't be here. There was a lot of people that were saying like, don't do death matches. You're gonna get cornered, and I believed them. But then it took guys like John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Bentley, Marcus Crane, Big Brother Marcus, who was just like, no, he's like, you can be a deathmatch wrestler and do all these other things. It's just as a deathmatch wrestler, you're not a fucking pussy. And I was like, oh, and I learned that lesson like later. So it went from I did the dojo, came back. Oh, that's when the opportunities really started going because people were like, "Oh, he went there and did this, so we can book him because he's good." When in reality, I really wasn't. I just was really ready and willing to learn, and that's just how I really learned was just talking with people before shows, getting in there, rolling. I'd still go to some training sessions that were around the area, but I learned more from being on the road with people like Aiden Blackheart, with Shane Mercer. And just asking questions and just doing stuff and trying stuff before shows. That's generally how I train because there wasn't really a local ring. So that's how I train, man. I'd go to the show. I'd do all my basic stuff. I'd just come up with ideas. I'd talk with guys before shows. And we'd do that. And so eventually went down to Southern Indiana where I trained a bit with Grindhouse Pro Wrestling. And I had a little minor stint at the IWA that was honestly, like, I really disliked my time there. But if I hadn't done my time there, I wouldn't have met John and Reed, and I wouldn't be here right now. Because like I got to the point where I was at that point where I was trying to listen to other people, and other people were. I was getting buried. I was getting shit on. People in the area were talking shit about me. Said I sucked. I got concussed. I got concussed and blew my sinuses out at the same time in a match. Finished the match. Worked while concussed. Didn't know I was concussed. And I was just so sick of it because now everybody was calling me lazy, and I'm showing up in pain, still trying to work, and I'm not getting paid. And I just was like, you know what? I'm fucking done with this. I went to GCW. Like the show is like honestly it's really important to me because I met a whole bunch of people that I'm now surrounded with. I went to GCW's. They said it couldn't be done. Went with Aiden Blackheart, Shane Mercer, and also rode up with Nate Webb and Alex Colon. So I'm sitting there asking questions and stuff, and I'd never seen a death match in my life. Like I never have. I knew it was a style. I was like, glass, blood doesn't really appeal to me. Don't hate it. It's just not my thing, Lo and behold, irony. It's also a thing that seems to run my life. But I got there, I was talking with Alex when he wasn't sleeping. And get there, I'm shaking hands with everybody. Ironically, that's where I met Tony Deppen. I met Chris Dickinson, and I met all those other guys. And I really discovered like what a big independent wrestling show could be. And I was really like astounded. I was like, this is really like professional. It's not a show where it's like, hey, we need all the wrestlers to do all this stuff. It's like, no, we have a crew. We have this. This is what wrestling can be on an independent level. And I was just like stunned. Met a bunch of guys. I talked with Tony for a bit, and it was really cool. And I didn't really like know a whole lot about Tony. Now I do, but that's the thing. I didn't know a whole lot about independent wrestling. But
Right.
That was like when it was like a culture shock of like, hey man, this is the independent wrestling scene. You need to wake up because this is what you could be doing right now. And I was like, oh. So I was watching all the matches. It was cool. I went out with Aiden went out to smoke. He's like, hey, come hang out with me. Okay, cool. And we're in the middle of New Jersey. It's cold as hell, And he gets a call from John and Reed, and they're like, "Hey, Aiden, you want to go to Mexico to wrestle for NGX?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, cool, man." He's like, "Can I bring Akira?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, cool, no problem." And I was like, "Hey, Akira, do you want to go to Mexico?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to go to Mexico." Like, hi. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm cool." And that show, everything changed after that show because that's my first death match I ever saw, and I had told Schlack this recently. Was Schlack and Nick Gage in the prison rules match. So I'm watching like this insanity, and I'm like, because I missed the three-way with Jimmy, Eric, and Marcus, and so I'm just watching this. My eyes like, what the fuck? And that's my first time I ever saw Nick Gage. So I saw like what you could be as a professional wrestler and with Schlack too. When their music hits, it's like a different thing. Like the crowd just goes to them. It's an animalistic kind of thing. And I was like, dude. But when Nick came out, I was like, oh, you could be that over with the crowd where you can do no fucking wrong. And like that's my first time experiencing Nick Gage. And ironically, later that year, I'd be in locker rooms with him a lot more, and I'd really get to know him. I'd get to know Schlack. I'd get to know a lot of these guys. But then I saw the main event, which was Alex Colon and Jun Kasai, and I admire Japanese wrestlers. It's almost that thing of like not like having an idol, but it's like representation. You see people that like my grandma was like full-blooded Korean Japanese. Like she was from Korea, so was my mom, but she was just half. But you see these guys, and you feel like a weird. It's really weird to explain. It sounds kind of like douchey, but you feel like this kinship with them. And like when Kasai came out, I was like, dude, that's like what Minoru Suzuki and what Shibata did for normal wrestling. in terms of deathmatch, I was like, oh, and like I was absorbed with everything that he did, you know. And then they had their match, and they just had a pro wrestling match. Just there was light tubes, glass, gussets, and I got to have my first experience with gusset plates, which Uncle Alex hates. On the way home because he had the gusset holes in his head. I was the one I was spraying the holes in his head, and I was wiping it off, and he was just like. And he gives me shit for it to this day because don't do death matches, kid. It's rough. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just stick to normal wrestling. And I was like, yes, sir. Little did I know. But then the time came, went to Mexico, and I basically told all those promotions in that area, I was like, fuck you, done, out, peace. I'm done being miserable. I left the territory. I laid down for people, and I was like, I'm gone. They're like, when are you coming back? I was like, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I've never been back.
Oh, wow.
Well, I went to Mexico, and it turns out like I wasn't on the card, but I was there. I was dressed up in a suit. Normally, I'm dressing up in a suit, but when it's this hot and miserable, you're not going to see me in a suit unless like there's air conditioning all the time.
Yeah.
It's brutal. I'm like, if you fly me out to wear a suit, like 10-hour car rides and brutal heat, no thank you. But I rode in a suit all the way, and that's where I met John and Reed, all the way to Texas. We walked across the border, hopped on a bus, went to Monterey, and that's where I met the promoters. You know, I was being very polite, shaking hands, kept my head down, you know, and they're like, hey, this guy in like the match for intermission, he hasn't shown up. And that's the match that Aiden was in too. So it was supposed to be a 3-way, and that's where I met Sick Boy, who is like, he's in Monterey and NGX. He's a god, and he's my deathmatch uncle because he's the first guy to ever make me bleed. And they're like, hey, you got gear? And I was like, yes. And they're like, you want to wrestle? I said, yes, I would love to. It's deathmatch, and like, you know, first time ever, you had this weird like, you know, the words of Alex Colon in my head going, I'll do death matches. And just people, you hear like how other wrestlers talk about death matches, especially at that time, like a year ago, before they were real. Every asshole in the world wanted to do them, just to do it once. I didn't get a whole lot of opportunities because a lot of people didn't want to mess with me because I didn't want to mess with their cliques. I didn't want to politic my way into shit. I didn't want to ask them like you know I'm a solid worker. If you want me in this tournament, you can ask me. I'm not going to come kiss your ass for it. But I was there, and I was like, look, these opportunities aren't going to be handed to anyone. I'm here. I'm in Mexico. I'm okay. Let's do it. I said, fuck it. Let's do it, man. I was like, is there tequila? They're like, oh, yeah, we have tequila. And I didn't smoke weed. I was like, do you have this? They're like, oh, yeah. I was like, all right, do death match. Let's fucking do it, bro. And it was cool because, it sucked because I had normal gear. So, like, you know, everybody wears, like, pants and stuff. And I prefer normal gear, ironically now, because I'm kind of switching to a new different style of gear. But I still like trunks. But, like, that's all I had. And, you know, it's glass, barbed wire, and shit like that. And so my body's exposed, and I had never bled. So, like, here's how you do this. You say this. I'm like, okay, cool. Get out there. The crowd starts loving me. And, like, I go back and they give me shit too. Sick Boy does, because he's like, you tried to steal my baby face. He's like, I'm babyface. You're foreigner. And I'm like, hey, man, I can't help it. He's like, I know.
Aw.
Because the other guy showed up too. But, like, we got just as much love as the hometown boys. They tried to do the boo the foreigner thing. It really didn't work. But the match is going, and I get hit with my first time with a light tube was I was trying to choke the guy on the outside, and Sick Boy comes up with a giant bundle, and just in my exposed back, I didn't know it was coming. And I was like, it was like, because I'd never experienced anything like that.
Oof.
And I was just like, holy shit. I like hunched over because it was, you know, it's such a foreign feeling. And, but I didn't bleed yet. And he's sticking a light to my head, and I had a little bit of blood coming out. But I like he walked away, was playing to the crowd, and I crawled over to him. I slapped him, and I was like, "Stab me, motherfucker!" Like, he knew I'd never been in a death match before. He was like, "Oh, okay." And it went. He stabbed me. It busted. And then here's how Aiden tells the story. He's like, "Yeah, man, I woke up from the apron to check on you. I just see red everywhere."
Oh man.
And he's like, "You're like my little brother." He's like, "All right, he's fine." He ducked back down again. Like, I got really fucking bloody. And I get to the back, and after the match, you know, they picked me up. They picked me up. They're like, "This fucking kid," you know. And like now people still ask me like, "Hey, when you coming back to NGX?" I'm like, "Al," I'm like, "I can't right now. I would love to. You know, I would love to, but there's nothing's running right now."
Yeah.
But I get to the back, and they're like, "Oh, I never did Lucha Extremo before. Stab me in the head." I go, "I'm sorry." They're like, "You're crazy, man." Sorry. And he still gives me shit to this day. But like that was my first experience. And another cool thing too was like I'm sitting there getting cleaned up, so they have like this like really like it looks like a hostile movie. But I'm sitting under this. They turn the hose, the shower head on. And it looks like a hostile movie where like blood's everywhere, just squirting off of me. And in the back I hear USA, USA. And I go, "Hold on, turn the shower off. What the fuck's going on?" And John and Reed are out there. They're having their match, and like they're so like the crowd loves them so much. In the middle of Monterrey, Mexico, they're getting a USA chant. I was like, I fucking love wrestling. It's so fucking get back, and just shows people like, "Dude, you did a death match," and I got the stigma of you're only gonna get booked in death matches now, blah 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 blah. Little did I know they fucking pay better. And I was like, "Hey man, it's just an opportunity. I took it." Then came the AWR Deathmatch Asylum show, and that's when I almost got killed to death. I got hit with untempered glass. I got untempered glass dead on, like in the face. I just shattered. I got looked like from here. I saw the cut on my wrist. I'm just seeing blood squirt out. And I grab it, and the ref, who was the other guy, the other wrestler's son, was like, "Dude," I'm like, "Get the fuck away from me." He's like, and the other wrestler goes, "Peter B," and he goes, "Dude, you're cut." I was like, "We are finishing the match. Get away from me." And I kicked him, and he's like, "All right, we're finishing the match." Finished was the same power bomb. There's salt, knives, lemon juice on top of that same glass that was untempered. So I get thrown through it. I have cut. Maybe I can show it.
Oh my goodness.
So just a minute here. Right there.
Oof.
Oh God.
We're getting
Yeah. Food. So Scotty's gonna be like, "Ooh, pretty boy." But that was like maybe less than a half an inch from an artery. So, and it died. Really, it was like this close to death. The nurse and the doctors were freaking out. They're like, "Honestly, we're shocked that you're not dead." I'm like, "All right, cool, fix me."
Oof.
I didn't even know I had it until I got to the back, and they're like, "You have a vagina on your leg." I'm like, "What?" They pointed at it, and I was like, "Oh, that's messed up, man. Can you fix it?" They're like,
Oh no.
"We can glue it, you crazy asshole." And I'm like, "All right, can you glue it, please?"
Oh my
And
god.
then like an hour later, I started feeling it. I was like, this sucks. Because I had one right here, and like that was also just a giant, right there, another giant hole. And my arm was like stiff because they had it wrapped so tight. And I get home, and I'm laying there, and I'm like it really started to hurt. It's because the stuff was wrapped so tight, so it could bleed. It was uncomfortable and it hurt. And I just looked over and I was like, "Hey babe," she's like, my girlfriend Charlie, she's a female wrestler, Charlie Rules. Like, "Yeah," and it's like maybe midnight. I'm like, "I'm gonna go to the hospital," and she's like, "Go to the hospital, you idiot." I'm like, "All right, cool." Go to the hospital, come back. Luckily, I was under family's insurance at that time, and I'm getting insurance again, I think.
So I got there, got stitched up, no problem. And yeah, that sucked. I was out for 2 weeks, but then I was back at it. Stitches healed it. And then it's just it all spiraled from there. I'd hop in the car. I said, hey, do you want to get on this deathmatch tournament, or do you want to get on this wrestling show? I'm like, yeah, man, sure, no problem. That's how I got to On Point. Was John and Reed were like, hey, do you want to go with us to New Jersey? And I was like, yeah, man. They're like, yeah, it'll be wrestling Reed. It's cool. And that's how I met Loudy and all the guys at On Point. That's how I met. And I got really familiar with like the guys at H2O too. So Matt, John Doe, all those guys, and like I really love them as like a family. Sean Henderson is another one I met through On Point, and I was like, I love him. Shout out to Sean. I know he's going through some rough stuff right now. And like that's just how I did. So I went to Colorado because Aiden was like, hey man, I can get you on Site of the Death Match. You want to go? Yeah, man, cool. Went there. I think some people heard some because there's a wrestler in the area, and I won't say his name because he's a piece of shit, and he knows I think he's a piece of shit. Because he was telling people kind of to save his spot of he's disrespectful, blah blah blah, and I get there and like I change. They were like, yeah, this person said this about you, and the guys are Aiden, Heise, and a bunch of the other guys were like, him disrespectful? What the fuck? And after the weekend, they're like, oh no, dude, we love you. Like they were wrong. They were totally wrong. I was like, yeah, like they were lying about me. Yeah, like, they were wrong. And that's just I just hopped in the cars On Point, and then I started really making my mark at On Point. And through On Point, I guess that's how Struggles saw my stuff, and I imagine John was talking to Struggles too, talking to Danny, and they're like,
we want to see his stuff. So I had the match with Matt in January, which I had that match with Matt on my anniversary of debuting, which is really cool and special with me. Little did I know, Matt and I would have another one that would kind of help me even more. And then the month after, I had that match with Tony. And the match with Tony, I was really nervous about because I've been doing a lot of death matches and stuff, right? And I knew how good Tony was as a straight pro wrestler.
Right.
And I thought I was good. I was just like, I don't know. You get that professional worry of like, am I that good? And I went in there and like the match was like, people were like, dude, that match was killer. Like it stood out on a deathmatch show. And and the fact that I think Tony liked that match too. And he said the fact that he said like, I'd want to wrestle you again was like, okay, I think I can be good at death matches and I can be good at normal matches too. Cause that's like my new goal now too, is I want to be the best in death match and I also want to be the best in pro wrestling, because if I can elevate myself in pro wrestling, I can elevate death matches too.
Right.
And I also skipped over this. I forgot. Last year, October 19th is my birthday, and October 18th and 19th was the Southern Sickness Cup, and that's my first time I ever went to a finals in a tournament, let alone a deathmatch tournament. And I wrestled in a crazy four-way. I wrestled Casanova, who I love. Casanova, love him to death.
Yes. And
then third match, I wrestled Marcus, and Marcus Crane is, like I said, he is like my big brother. But he knew I had this mentality of, don't call me a deathmatch wrestler, because I don't want that stigma, right? You know, that thing that people want preached to you, and especially because I was hanging around Too Tough Tony, who like hates. He was like, oh, you get hit in the head with shit now. That's so you don't have to train, even though I train and travel a lot. And I just kind of shrugged it off. And so I had that stigma, that mentality still. And which looking back at it was stupid, because I saw, I saw Kasai and I saw Alex, and they were doing pro wrestling just with glass and stuff. So, and I know Alex is lauded also as a really great professional wrestler, and so is Kasai. But I had that match with him, and Marcus he fully initiated me. Like, this was like, okay, no, now you're a deathmatch wrestler, to him anyways. I know I have to prove myself to other guys too, and I'm looking forward to that. But he butterflied me into a razor board, and I still have the scars from that razor board that they cut me deeper than what they normally should, and I like those got infected like a week later, and I was like, I went full medic, and Marcus gave me advice on that, but he beat the shit out of me, and I started swinging back on him, and at the end of it, he was like, now you're a deathmatch wrestler. He's like, deathmatch wrestlers are wrestlers, they're just not fucking pussies. Now don't fucking embarrass us. And like I took that to heart, man.
Oh,
like
wow.
I hugged him, and I still do things that annoy him sometimes, but he takes the time to talk to me because he like I'm not kidding. He's like he and Slack is like when I got cut here, he's the person to take care of me. I've been on several shows with him. He's given me tons of advice. Like they're both like my big brothers in terms of American Deathmatch. And Marcus is just like, do this with peroxide to clean yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take baths. Take quick showers. Like he initiated me, and he made me respect deathmatch wrestling even more. And like I just respect pro wrestling overall. And I want to be that guy that I don't want to cause trouble and shit. I just want to be a good person. I also want to help as much people as I can. And if I do piss people off, it's not intentional. And I'm like, dude, talk to me. I'm open to talking because I try not to piss people off. And I did. It's like I'm sorry. Let's talk about it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Marcus really broke me in, and he like talked to me every day, almost every day now. And then he put me over, and I went to the finals, and people were like, holy shit, Akira went to the fucking deathmatch finals. And that like also Cody Rice, shout out to Cody Rice, because it's me, him, and John Wayne Murdoch. There was like 800 light tubes in that match. It was a complete clusterfuck. It was like being in a war zone because like I'm on the ground, reacting to stuff, and I'm just seeing like glass being thrown and just exploding like a bomb, and the fans are shouting like "Bye forever" and Cody and each other. We're like, "Fuck this!"
Tiff, this sounds like you're galore.
I
Right there with all the
know.
glass.
Or the adrenaline is gone. We're just
Yeah.
like, all right, we're tired, man. This is rough. But I did that finals, and it was kind of like, I guess that's when people like, especially the first No Holds Barred show, people are like, oh man, the best kept secret in the Midwest is making his fucking name now in deathmatch and pro wrestling, which I thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the moment where I kind of became that guy of like, I'm the secret, like I'm willing to do whatever. And I had a match with like John Wayne Murdoch in Indianapolis that people were talking about, and there was no glass. It was just we were beating the shit out of each other.
Oh my goodness.
And it just all escalated, and it got to the point where I had the match with Tony, and I was really hyped. I was like, man, I could send this match to promotions, and I could start getting those regular bookings just as much as the deathmatch bookings. I can really show I can do both. And pandemic. I was like, oh, of course, a pandemic, right? I was gonna be stride, fucking awesome. I was really starting to work on my body too, and I was trying to get in better shape. And I was like, great, I can't get into a gym. Awesome. Luckily, I worked from home, and I was still able to bring in income, so I consider myself lucky. Months later, and John's like, hey, send me some of your matches. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, all right, hey, you want to wrestle for No Holds Barred? I was like, yes, I would, definitely, totally. He's like, okay, this is basically like you're going to introduce yourself to the people, to Danny, to all these guys, and that's how I got to No Holds Barred. And that like I had that first match, and shit got crazy.
And here we
Oh my
are.
God.
Like, and by the
And here
way,
we are now.
By the way, Danny DeMonto's in the chat. Hi, Danny. He says, look at this pretty boy. And Isaac's in the chat, too. He said, my man.
God damn it.
My goodness. You kind of answered, like, a lot of our questions, and we only asked one question.
Hey, man, I can talk. That's the funny thing, too. In wrestling, I really don't talk a lot, but, like, I could go for hours just talking.
I mean, like...
I'm like checking off questions. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, answer this.
You kind of answered like a whole bunch of our questions that like we have a list of questions and you just like bammed right through pretty much a lot of them.
See, he did his research. He knew what we were
Yeah,
gonna ask.
did you like, yeah, you must have did your research on us. Like, And it's funny.
I left room for No Holds Barred because I imagine you guys had questions for that. I was like, I'll let them talk about that. That's much more current. So
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so funny.
Now, shout out to she's the one that did all my shirts. She's the one that she was like I call her my wrestling mom. She's a shirt designer from Australia at Redneck RNKF Shirts, Redneck Kung Fu. She did all of my shirts. She helped me a lot, especially when it came to meeting people, talking to people, because she talked to me, and I just want to shout her out because she does really great work, and I want her to make as much money as possible because she is legit like my wrestling mom.
That's
whether she's
awesome.
a wrestler, she does a lot of stuff for me, and she's the best.
Everybody behind the scenes is important.
She's the one that pushed me to do the Seiyozawa design. I was like, I want to wait. She's like, no. She's like, especially after the first No Holds Barred, she's like, now you go. She's like, do not ask me for a T-shirt. You go to him. I was like, okay, Jesus.
Oh man. And all his links for merch is down below in the description, guys. So go buy some merch.
Go to theakiraway.com. I have that's my new merch site. I'm going to make a lot more money through there because pro wrestling tees sucks.
Okay.
I'm going to put a lot more stuff on there, and the Seiyozawa shirt will be available starting August 7th, the debut of the Deathmatch Circus. That's when the shirts will be available to be purchased, and they do ship international. So
actually, I have that flyer here that you guys can see. Definitely, I mean, you guys know I'm a huge fan of ICW, huge fan. So definitely, if you're not going to be at the show, please, it's going to be on IWTV. Go check it out. So I always say it's a great time. I love it. So
it's really great because it's like everybody's so relaxed, and it's literally it's almost like being in a family. I know Danny likes to say it's the family, and I'm like, it is. That's what Struggle says that. It's like we're a family, and I'm like, it is. I'm 2 shows in, and I'm happy there. It's like, hey man, go out there, do your stuff. Cool, man. I don't have to say shit. I don't have to ask for stuff. If I ask or if I'm curious about something, it's answered, and generally they try to be as helpful as possible. Like, I love working for No Holds Barred, and I expect No Holds Barred to be ICW No Holds Barred to be the next big thing, not even the next big thing, the big promotion running through the country once we're allowed to, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Definitely, it's so
definitely,
great.
It definitely is, and again, it's just to bring it back a little bit to like you mentioned earlier, that stigma I feel like deathmatch wrestlers get. You guys can't go.
Yeah.
Like we see in this match the other day, Alex Colon, I'm seeing him pull out a code red, and it's like a lot of indie guys can't do that as Swift. And this is a deathmatch guy. At the end of the day, it's that attached, it says deathmatch wrestler. Wrestling is there.
Well, it's like Reed and I, I was doing drop toe holds. I mean, I'm throwing strikes at someone in the back of the head. I'm throwing scorpion kicks. But we had we basically had a All Japan part where we're just suplexing each other on our heads over and over and over again. We're really good wrestlers, and all those guys, because I do believe my time will come in terms of showing the world I can really do both. All those guys, I would love to see Alex Colon versus Warhorse for the IWTV title. He deserves that spot. Oren does, Cody Rice does, John and Reed definitely do. I mean, well, John's happy. John loves doing death matches, but I'm like, Reed can really. I want Reed to really go out there and really show how good he is, because I could not have had that match if it wasn't for Reed. Reed and John brought out that more "fuck you, I'm gonna kick you as hard as I can" side of me. I didn't have that before I met them. Right. But a lot of those guys really deserve that chance. Eric Ryan versus Warhorse, that'd be the most brutal, crazy ass match. I want those guys to succeed just as much as I want to succeed. But that's the best part, man. It's it's its own family. I would say Schlack versus Warhorse, but I'm pretty sure Schlack's I don't give a shit.
That's awesome. I feel like that kind of answered our fan tweet from our friend Chris. He said, which wrestler or wrestlers in your mind do people need to keep an eye on besides yourself?
He just gave a whole list right there.
Like those deathmatch guys, like we like doing death matches, but like we're not opposed to doing normal wrestling, guys.
Yeah.
Like we want to show that shit too. And I honestly think the deathmatch guys bring something to the table that a lot of normal wrestlers don't. Like we have, like there's the scars, there's the like you can see the results of the shit we've done, and there's a different mentality when it comes with deathmatch wrestlers too. I think.
Right.
There's something really special, especially when you get to like those guys like Schlack, Nick, John, Reed, Oren, Alex. Like they have a vibe that other wrestlers don't have, and like to see them go against guys in a more prominent position in the indie circuit, I think would be really cool, just because it's matchups you wouldn't expect. Like I unironically would like to see. Yes, here comes the Schlack Sabre Jr. jokes, but like Schlack versus like Zack Sabre Jr. That's a really weird match.
Right. I
think it would be really interesting to see, because I think it would be an entertaining match, not in like, oh, it's gonna be a train wreck. Like it's not like IWA Deep South where it is a train wreck to watch and it's hilarious to watch. But like it would be an entertaining match just to see the styles clash. Like big hulking Schlack, I try to kill and smash you, versus, all right, I'm gonna grab a submission anywhere I possibly can, and from Zack Sabre Jr. I was like, I would watch that. There's so many of those matchups that I would watch that. Just because these guys do death matches and they have that aura, it would be a different style of match completely, and it'd be a money making match, I think.
Right. It always goes back to basics, I feel like, right? So it's just because maybe like you do a lot of death matches, you always got to go back to your basics. So it would be interesting to kind of, see these kind of different matches. That's why even when you put the tweet out the other day about all your openings, I tagged Synergy Wrestling. And I was like, yes, like I love our boy Colin over there that runs Synergy.
Colin is a sweetheart. He's the best. He's a goofball. I love him.
He's good people.
I was supposed to debut for Synergy during the H2O weekend thing, but everything, like I was supposed to debut for H2O.
Right.
Everything got canceled. And I'm still pissed off about that.
I know. Well, hopefully, like we're getting some wrestling back, so hopefully that, now we can get some of this happening now.
I think the coolest part about the two shows, and everybody tweeting at me, and like, everybody saying, oh, I'm going to be the next, whatever star, next indie star, next pro wrestling star, blah, 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 all that shit. Well, I was just happy with the fact that the pro wrestling fans could watch it just as much as the deathmatch fans could. Because like at the end of the day, I want to be that guy that's like IWGP champion. But the fact that like the wrestling fans could see this guy can really wrestle in the confines of the deathmatch, even though deathmatch wrestling is wrestling. It's just there's more danger. And the deathmatch fans are like, nah, this dude's fucking hardcore, man. Like I was like, all right, I'm seeing the best of both worlds. I can do both. So what Marcus told me, a year ago stands true. Like you can do both.
Right.
And I want to be that guy. And whatever, all the things that fans are saying, like, oh, future of strong style, future of death, all those things. I don't want it to get to my head. But I'm like, if I can strive to be that guy that they think I can, I will be. I want to try to do that. But I don't want to get to where it's like, oh, the fans are saying it. I am, man. I can write that. I hate that shit. Like, there's so much more work to do. Like, I have so much more training I gotta do, so much more work on my body, on myself. Like, I started with the haircut, so now people can't call me. They'd be like, oh, he's Mondo, because my hair is like, look, guys, I had a very limited haircut because I was locked up for months on end, and I did the haircut myself. Now I have an actual haircut. Bring on the other Asian comparisons, okay?
Okay.
I love it. Oh man.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ray.
I guess let's try to ask.
Yeah, let's go through our thing and see what's good, because he answered a lot of our questions.
Rambling. So.
No, you're good. No, it's great because again, like we have a lot of these questions, so it's fine. So go ahead, Ray.
Okay, so I can still ask this one because you talked a lot more of the professional side of things. Let's talk about your development character-wise, your evolution as a character. How would you say you've grown to what you are now?
Well, I first started off with, the whole American Yakuza thing, which taboo. But like I wore like suits out to the ring and stuff like that because like I mean I like wearing suits normally, and I had like an Oni mask that I got from some craftsman in China, and I painted it myself to make it different. And I mean that stuff kind of faded over time just because I was like it changed, you know. I wore that suit I wore to the ring. I normally wear everywhere, so I was like, I just want to get something else. Things just changed. I wanted to try things new because people were always saying, you know, you're so young, don't be so set in your ways. Just try new things. And so, like, dude, I came out with like a sparkly blanket once because I couldn't afford a robe. So there's like this gold and yellow thing. I got some really cool pictures and shots from it, but like it was literally just a golden yellow sparkly blanket, like. And you know, you wipe your hands on it, it changes from gold to red, and it sparkled. And people were calling me like Liberace. And I got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm done with the Liberace shit. So I wore like I had a white jacket, and I got blood on it from a show, and I was like, all right, like I could see something going on here. I don't fuck with white gear normally, but like the white pants I can just clean. It's not like white vinyl or shit like that where it's hard to clean. Now I have that white jacket, and that white jacket's I know it's gonna be a pain in the ass to keep clean, but luckily I know where to get them for me. But I just started like I kept swapping stuff out, just trying things. I kept the whole like the exotic weapon thing of like I'm a serious fighter. But I'm also like me personality wise, like I can go from being really like relaxed right now and joking. So like when you see me fucking around with people in the ring, that's just me being a quirky asshole. People want to be like, oh, it's Nakamura because I had the long hair at the time too, and I was getting really tired of the Nakamura comparisons. I'm like, because I'm like Nakamura doesn't have red hair. I barely do anything that he does in the ring. I like a lot of the stuff I did was stuff I borrowed from Shibata, or it's the thing about the exotic weapon character was if I fail, you know, in a fight, I take something from that opponent and use it for myself. But a lot of stuff also I was just kind of innovating and trying things. That's like I wanted it to be this evolving kind of warrior character, but people didn't buy it because I didn't have like that grit, I guess, or people, especially people in the area. That's the thing with getting to know people too well. They think they know you, and so when they watch you wrestle, it's like I don't have to take him seriously. I know he's so and so, and so now like people ask why I don't go out and hang out with people locally anymore. I'm like, one, I don't like any of you people. Two, it's better for me professionally and it's better for me emotionally because I hate that local drama shit. I hate the politicking shit. It's everywhere, and the fact that I come home, I go to work or I go wrestle, and I come home. I chill with my dog, chill with my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm so much happier, man. Or I hang out with John and Reed. Like, don't get me wrong, I have friends. Like, I love hanging out with Tony, Deppen, and talking with him. But, like, it's... The character became much more... It started to really reflect real life and reflect a lot of the shit I was going through. Because then it got to the point where I started doing death matches. And that's where, like, I'm taking out all the fucking anger on people and shit. Like, that's where I'm venting. And... it turns out I needed to do a death match, not just to get that grit that I needed in my character, but I also needed it to really become and evolve into who I am now. Because without death matches, you know, I wouldn't be Death Samurai, and I wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
It added a layer of not edginess, because edginess you associate with like douchebags and like in high school that wore makeup and shit. Nothing against makeup wearing, but you know what I'm talking about. Those guys were like, I'm making an edgy joke. I hate society. Shit like that. Like, yeah, that shit irks me.
Oh, God.
I'm like, okay, hate society. Fuck off. Like, you don't have to say it every day, man.
Oh,
but like, I got that grit I needed in the character. But the best part was the grit that happened in the death match. It carries over into the pro wrestling, because like now when I do submissions or I'm striking people believe it. And like it things happen for a reason for me, especially in my career. I kind of go with the flow. Like me getting stabbed, people are like, you got stabbed? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, how can you be like, yeah, man, about getting stabbed? I'm like, it happened. What you want me to freak out about it? Now I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna try to make it work. It's just how I do things. Like the hair. Like I was in a match in Milwaukee, and the hair got caught in barbed wire, and I just like my hair was all the way down to like here.
Right.
So like, but it got caught, and I was stuck, and I said, "Fuck it, rip."
Oh.
Huge chunk, and I was like, well, long hair's dead. Time to get rid of it. And I regret shaving it all the way down the way it is. Every time I watch my match with Tony to analyze and critique it, I look at that fucking hair that I had where it was like buzzed so short and it was red. I was like, I look like a goddamn idiot. It looks so stupid.
I just watched that match before.
Well, it's a really good match.
It is.
I'm like, how the biggest critique I have in that match is my fucking hair. I'm like, I shouldn't have dyed it red. I should have waited for it to grow out, but I was impatient, and I just, God, I look at that and I'm like, what was I thinking? I normally think I'm like, fashion forward. Like Marcus Crane is like the end all be all in a fashion and pro wrestling. I'm like, normally I feel like I'm right behind him, but in that moment I'm watching that and I was like, what the hell was I doing, man? That hair was atrocious. I looked like it looked like I did it myself. It was so bad.
Well, you look good now, so you're good.
Oh, yeah. My beautiful, luscious Asian hair. So I'll say that. Thanks for the quarantine and the pandemic, because it allowed me to grow my hair back without wrestling matches, so I don't have to go back and watch all these matches of my hair progressively growing out.
Oh, no.
But like
It'll be like the best matches, but his hair.
But I just decided during the pandemic, I was like, I'm gonna come out looking completely different to what people thought I was before.
Right.
And that was the great thing, was I saw a couple people, especially there was some Japanese fans that were like, that saw like Southern Sickness, and they were like, oh, Akira looks really different now. And I'm like, yeah, I've got hair, man, it's great. I'm fashion forward again. But like there's like the white jacket, the white pants I picked up because I did a match in IW Deep South with Aiden Blackheart, because we'd always wanted a match forever, and they were like, hey, we'll pay you this much money. I was like, dude, that's a stupid amount of money. I'm gonna go do that. But I wore the pants, and like I watched the match back, and I'm like, hair still looks like shit, but I was like, the pants I think can work. So I started adding patches. I've got more patches I have to add to it. So and like I love like Masada's look. I didn't want to like rip off Masada, but I was like, I could personalize it for myself.
Right.
And now I'm getting actual like gear that are more like those pants, but they're gonna be a little bit shorter. So some people will say like, oh, he's doing like Kasai and Takeda, and I'm like, no, it's just that style right now feels good for me, and I'm gonna make it my own thing. But if it fits, why not? I like wearing like those pants styles, but I don't want to be like every other deathmatch wrestler. Well, not even every other, but like they don't have like custom gear. Like Orin has custom gear and it looks good on him. I'm like, if I can make something that I can wear in a deathmatch, or I can wear in a normal match, so I can keep that same look, cool. Right. And come August, I'm gonna get started working on that with my gear maker.
Yay!
But seriously, that's how I roll. What I said, how I develop is I just take things and I roll with it. And like, if it works, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna use that later on. Like, the back elbow I did on Reed in Survival of the Sickest, that for the tubes that was people were talking about, and that was just ad-libbed. I was talking about it that day, and someone said, why don't you try it instead of this way? Try it with an elbow. And I was like, all right, fine. And here I am, and it's like a trademark move. I don't know if I could ever hit it in ICW because of the chains, but I'm going to try one day.
Oh, okay. I'll be watching. So, like, you got to make this happen.
Those chains are fucking brutal, man. Like, when Reed threw me stomach first on it, I was like,
oh, no. Wait.
And the crowd was like, ooh. And I'm like, yeah, that sucked.
Oh, no.
And it immediately followed up with something worse. That record bat, with the vinyls on it, the bat with the vinyls on it,
right.
That was the worst thing. I will take a fucking razor board bump every day before that shit. I don't know why that hurt so bad, but it did.
Oh my God.
How do you prepare for a death match? Like,
it just varies with people. I mean, some people listen to music. John sits there and laughs. He goes, ha, ha, ha. He just laughs and makes jokes. He was born to do this shit where he's just like, I'm always ready, man. Ha! Like John's laugh, I always give him shit for it. But, he's gonna be like, what the fuck, making fun of me laughing, you piece of shit. I'm like, yeah, no, that's what we do.
Oh wow.
I do this for normal matches though too. But in death matches, like I sit there and I mutter to myself. Like it looks like I'm a fucking psycho. But I'm slapping myself in the face. I'm like almost screaming internally at myself. And people think I'm goddamn crazy even at normal shows. But like that's how I get in the zone. That's how I'm ready to fucking go. Like Scotty, bless his heart, on the second show the volume 3 it was he was like, someone was making jokes at me before and I kind of like jokingly like swatted him. He's like, dude, Akira, you're like the most fucking unintimidating dude I've ever met. And I'm like, I mean, I don't try to be intimidating in real life, man. It's whatever. But then like he saw me get ready for my match. He saw me go on. He's like, yeah, I saw you switch. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. I'd fuck with normal you. Luckily, I'm normal you.
Oh man.
I was like, thanks, Scotty. I think.
That's great.
I was backhanded compliments from my friends. I don't know why I called them my friends.
Aw.
That's wrestling.
Yeah, it is wrestling.
Yeah. Tiff knows my friends, and I'm friends with some. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing with Marcus. Like, love him, but like he'll always say something, but then he'll do something just to like, because he knows it'll get under my skin, and I'm like, I gotta just like know something. Like, God damn you, Marcus, fuck you. He knows what he does. Like, I'll say something to him, and he'll be like, hey, he'll go to a couple guys, like, hey man, so you want to hear what Akira did? And I'm like, fuck you. Why would you do that?
Oh no.
And I know, like he has that fucking smile of like that smug, like that Marcus smile. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Why do I love you?
Yeah, well, there you go. We got to shout out Marcus Crane there.
Seriously.
God, I love Marcus.
Wait,
Crane.
we got a fan tweet. We have a fan tweet.
Yeah?
Let's do this fan tweet question, okay? Because I actually really want to know this one. So this is from our boy Metal. He wants to know what the origin of your wrestling name came from.
Yes, it's the movie, but it's also like it's really the movie Akira is that's how the Japanese pronounce it. But Akira is really close to my real name. I mean, someone found me on Facebook. You know who you are in this group chat. It's really close to what my normal name is personally. And like when I was younger, I used to get like made fun of for being Asian and shit. Like I used to be called I was the only Asian kid in the middle of the country. Before puberty hit me, and I got that little like mixed kid look, I looked like I was straight from like Japan or South Korea. You couldn't fucking tell the difference. But like people would call me like Chang and all this other stuff. And I had friends that would call me Alex. I had a couple that would, like online that would call me Akira. And I was just like, I watched that movie when I was like 3. And so like that's where I have like my really fucked up sense of humor. Because watching that movie when you're 3, like there's body horror and shit. You think it's this cute cartoon, and you're seeing human bodies get like twisted and warped, and then you're just like, what the and me as a kid, I'm like, what the fuck? But like, and as I grew older and like the name calling and all that shit still happened. I used to like beat up for it too, and it sucks. It is what it is, but like then I hit puberty and I got bigger than everybody else, and people stopped fuck with me because then they realized if you fuck with I'm just gonna call myself Akira because I don't really want to give up my real life name. But if you fuck with me, it turns out I sometimes snap, and I had a history of choking out kids when they gave me shit. And I'm not talking like I'd either do like hands on the throat, like I'm trying to legitimately kill you and people pull me off, or I'd put you in a chokehold. And I didn't know shit about like submissions. I just knew, like in my head, I was like, arm around the neck equals I'm choking you out. And I'd squeeze with I did like the whole body scissors. I looked like Samoa Joe. I'd wrench, and like kids would like pull me off in like gym class and shit. And but like as I started wrestling, I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be. And it is like I grew up and I started really like a lot of Japanese, like South Korean stuff. Like I do listen to K-pop, J-pop, shit like that. I listen to a whole like my music taste is so like from corner to corner weird. Like I'll go from listening to metal to like obscure Japanese like folk punk, which is really goddamn weird. There's like Japanese house music, house EDM I love. But I was just like, what fits me and what'll stand out? Because some people were like, I had the idea before. I was like, maybe I could just be Akira. I had a last name in mind, but once again, people in fucking the Midwest can't pronounce shit that's not a standard white boy name. And so I was like, okay, we'll take that off. And some people were like, no, maybe you should be Akira and my middle name, which is that's why you can't find me on Facebook, is because it's my first name and my middle name. It's James. That's not my last name. And I was just like, no, that sounds so fucking weird, man. And some people were like, no, like, because I always thought like Kenta, like Kenta stands out. Muda stands out. Like those one name names in wrestling where you just say the name once, you know who they're talking about. And I knew there was an Akira Tozawa, and I was like, well, if I don't have a last name, maybe I could stand out a bit. And I know there's other Akiras, like there's one in like Europe, whatever. Who's like in All Japan, good for him. But his like last name's like Akira Francesco, and I'm like, okay, good for you, man. I'm not you though. And I just decided it's that same old song and dance of I decided, fuck what these people are telling me. I'm gonna go with my gut feeling, and it feels right. And some people still fuck it up, like they want to be like Akira, and it's A, and it's all lowercase. Kira. I'm like, that looks so lame. If you do like Akira all capitals, it looks like you just got like this super dangerous pride fighter or some shit like that. Like that's what I want. And now people are starting to get it slowly. You guys advertise it like that. I'm like, bless you. But like I went with my gut, and it stands out because actually also shout out to Gentleman Jervis, because he even told me, he was like, if that stands out to you, go with it. He's like, you stood out to me on the show with a bunch of other people, just from your name on the poster alone. Then you go out and you wrestle, and you stand out. And I'm like, he's like, go with your gut feeling. If it feels right to you, it feels right. It's like when people want me to be a heel or a bad guy, and I'm like, I'm not. Like, Ricky Morton had a show once that, offhanded comment, because I tried doing some killer shit. He's like, boy, you're a babyface. Don't try. I'm like, all right, Ricky Morton told me to be a fucking babyface. I'm gonna be a babyface. So I have some promotions that go, hey, I need you to be a bad guy. I'm like, dude, I can't. Like, I've done my brand around being a good guy, and like, I want to be a guy that you deathmatch or pro wrestling you can watch, and I'm gonna be that guy. I want to be that guy you watch to like throw all their bullshit away, pull their bullshit aside. It's like, oh man, my favorite wrestler Akira, or oh that wrestler Akira who's like this anime character in real life. I want to watch him. I don't have to worry about shit. I don't have to worry about him, backstabbing or me believing in him. Like with all this like speaking out stuff, like it got a little personal for me because of my girlfriend. I was being outspoken about it, and like I know in my heart I'm a good person, and I want to be that guy that speaks out for it. And I also want to be that guy where like if you have a problem or something, you can come talk to me. As a pro wrestler, like someone you can, as like this babyface guy, I'll hug you. Like if you have a story, like besides some people in the whole speaking out thing come and talk to me about stuff, and I was there, and I was like hugging him, and I was like, this shit sucks, man. This shit's awful. But that's also the best thing about having Coda, the Death Doge, is that like he's a registered ESA. So like that's why I like bringing him to shows, because then as people are down, like in real life, people come up to him and like we pet him, and it makes their fucking day because he's the cutest goddamn dog in the world, and like people just pet him and they feel happy. And I'm like, if I can bring him to shows and stuff like that, and it makes people happy just as much as I make people happy watching me wrestle, like it's cool. And some promotions let me do it, some don't. It is what it is. But like, I mean, it's just how it is. That's how I want to be. I want to be like that good person through and through. And so you're not going to see me like in the confines of a death match. I might do a dick thing there or two, but it's normally because a dick thing or two has been done to me. Like, Reed Bentley hit me in the back with a vinyl bat. Yes, I spat on him because that vinyl bat fucking hurt really fucking bad. And he also hit me with a light tube for no reason at
Like, that's the nature of Akira. Was like it was personal to me. It was me taking all the shit of, oh, you're the Asian kid. You're every racial epithet. It was me owning it, going, fuck you. I'm gonna take this name and I'm gonna be me while doing it, and people are gonna pay to watch me.
Right.
And there's people to this day that say, I would never pay to watch you, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, that's good, because I know a couple thousand people that would. It's me owning the shit that people give me and saying, fuck you, I'm gonna make it work.
Right.
That's the nature of like Akira. I'm gonna make it work. I'm like the nicest guy, like the whole, like, especially like the stuff with Matt, like me being respectful. That's me in real life. I try to be respectful, but like I also have that mentality of I'm a very respectful person, but you fuck on me, that's where I'm gonna be like, fuck you too. But it's really hard. Once again, it's really hard for people to do that. Like I maybe blown up on 2 people in the 2 years of wrestling, but in the 500 matches I've had, like, and it's people in the Midwest who are just pieces of shit.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. I talk a lot. So.
No, you're good.
No.
No, you're good. We like the stories, so.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
No, you definitely have that uniqueness to you, though.
Yeah.
Like, even when me and Tiff first saw you, it's like, I want to see more.
Yeah.
It definitely made us invested, and that's what you wanted wrestling. You want to be able to be invested in a person.
Absolutely.
Especially if there's everyone that tries to do carbon copy this, carbon copy
Right.
that. You had not just the look, but just even, like I said, your style was different.
Right.
So
You definitely
that's something that
caught us.
People wanted me to wrestle like a lucha style, and why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I'm like, it's like, why don't you do like a moonsault? I'm like, I could do a moonsault, but it doesn't feel right to me. And like mentally, when I'm upside down, like I got this tick in my head. I'm like, ugh, it feels fucking like on a roller coaster. It's fine because I know I'm going back. But like a moonsault, it's something I gotta practice. But it's my style has always been like, I don't watch a lot of like lucha. Like I love lucha, like watching it myself, like at a show, like on like TV or at every other indie show where someone's doing a lucha spot. I just don't care. I take little aspects of things and I try to make it my own. Like the whole the Tiger feint back elbow. I saw Rey Mysterio. And I was like, what if I did that, but I came back with an elbow? And then I saw Ilya Dragunov, he does a version of it with a lariat. I was like, okay, so it's possible. But a lot of the stuff I watch and I take stuff from is like, it's either Puro, it's shoot wrestling, which I train catch as catch can with a student of Billy Robinson. His name's Jay Grooms here in Kentucky. Which people don't know, but like, yeah, I have like a little bit of a shoot background, and I'm still training. I'm not saying I'm like I could kill you, but like I know a thing or two. I know how to get
you answered another one of my questions.
I know how to get you in a heel hook, make you hurt, because Achilles locks that's just pain. If I get you in a knee bar, or a heel hook, I can do damage to you. I can get you in a double wrist lock. I know that's like ironically, in terms of submissions, that's my go-to. Is it's not a Kimura, it's a double wrist lock, because like that shit annoys me. But like I train a lot through him, and I'm still learning. But like, it's also like how deathmatch enhanced how I wrestle. Just training catch as catch can with someone like Jay, who he is at Crossface Killer on Twitter. Like he has a lot of knowledge and stuff on that. But it changed how I do submissions and things like that. And people notice like when I do submissions how it looks different. Right. And it's just it's the intricacies that you learn from having like. Even just a bare, like a bare minimum of shoot training. A lot of the shoot training I have has been like practicing stuff on my girlfriend and her practicing stuff on me. That I have like a Fujiwara tape, or like it's stuff I do like on a body bag or on a dummy. That Jay he's like, hey, try this, and I'll send him stuff and he'll critique it. That's like a lot of my shoot training is through that. It's really not offhand training, but it's not through like the most standard means. But I've been on the mats with him, and he's kicked my ass plenty of times. So.
It's interesting, definitely. It's interesting.
Also, I still a lot to get from like Joshi wrestling too. Like I love Joshi wrestling.
Yes.
Like they're like the '90s All Japan girls, like and Gaia girls are some of the baddest bitches ever. And like I've told people before, I'm like I would rather wrestle a Joshi wrestler than a lot of American wrestlers, because Joshi wrestlers aren't fucking pussies. Like they will hit you. Mika Satomura will fuck you up. She's someone I unironically say I look up to. I don't care if she's a woman. She is that good of a fucking professional wrestler. Like, she's better than a lot of wrestlers in America. Like, I love watching her matches. She's so goddamn killer. Also, like, Hana Kimura was another one in terms of just like character stuff. That's why like I was like shocked when that shit happened with her, because like she was really good, and like I know she doesn't have many years in either. She didn't have many years in either. I was like, she's gonna be so good. I love watching what she does now. She has such a great look. She looked like this crazy like anime badass. I'm like, I love watching what she does. And so the fact that she did what she did and she's no longer with us, I was like, it was like it was having someone that you look up to, even if she's younger than me or whatever. Like, having someone just taken away like that in the prime of her youth and the prime of her career, it was fucking heart wrenching. That shit sucks.
Right. Wow.
And people taking that shit and bastardizing it for the shitty things they've done, which I think we all know what we're talking about. Some hour-long apology video that's not an apology video, and trying to use what happened to her as, I'm getting backlash for being a piece of shit. It's not the same thing. And if you do think that, fuck you.
Well,
there you go.
Oof, my goodness.
Yeah, hey, they're people, again, be good people. Be
Yes,
good people.
that's it. It's not hard to be
It
good
sucks that
person.
people have to be that, like, fake and stuff.
If you're a piece of shit like that, you will get called out. Like, things are changing. And I never had the idea of I wanted to quit wrestling, because like I want to make it. If people want to quit wrestling, that's cool. That's another spot that's open for somebody, or it's
Right.
or me or people I know to take. But I also had this mentality of, look, I was treated like shit kind of in the Midwest scene. If I can try to change it for the better, especially now that like some people kind of want to listen to me. I'm not saying everybody wants to listen to me. I'm gonna do what I can, man. And if it's just me calling out a piece of shit, I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
Okay.
Let's change this in a little more, get a little happier here. You spoke about your music taste earlier. Let's change the mood of it. You spoke about your music taste earlier being very different spectrums and everything. Let's talk about your theme, your entrance theme here. Because that popped me. I've told Tiff how much the song just popped me. That you come out to fight to survive. The song from Bloodsport. Two things from that. One, awesome selection. Just awesome selection for having it. Two, what made you pick that song though?
Well, originally, like I remember watching that movie when I was like 5 or 6. My dad introduced me to a lot of shit that's older that I liked, like Beavis and Butthead, South Park. I was watching that shit when I was like 4 or 5. Man, like I have a history with stuff like that. But like Bloodsport was one of those movies he had on VHS, just with like the NJPW tapes, the WCW tapes that I would watch, and I don't know, like it always stuck with me through the years. And when I started wrestling, and I went through a couple different themes, some better than others. And I watched that movie, and especially when like the Bloodsport show started happening, and I was like this is like I vibe with the song, right? And then just one day, I was like, I'm cycling through the music because I wanted to change. Like once again, I wanted to change shit because the music I had before was some anime song. It was goofy, and I was like I love the song, but it doesn't feel right to me. Like that's one thing. If it doesn't vibe right with me, I cut it. And it like after like a couple shows, it didn't feel right with me. I was like, what am I gonna fucking do, man? And I'm just listening. I was watching the movie and I was listening to the song, and I was like, I'm vibing with this. And like, honestly, like the whole Bloodsport movie is like, it's like a pro wrestling tournament. Like that's what it feels like. Like I watched that last fight and I always think of it in pro wrestling terms. Like, oh, here's the start. All right, here's this happening. Here's this happening. And like a lot of the shit they're doing, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this spot off of jumping off the ref's back and throwing a kick at you, a flying kick. And I'm like, that's such a pro wrestling thing. And, I was like, I might want to try this. And then Shane Mercer was just like, use that song. I'm like, why? He's like, trust me, it'll fit you better. He's like, and it's one that people can like connect to and people like it, which, I mean,
Right.
you know, Shane, you're right. You know, fuck you, but you're right. And it's little did I know how much that song, like, in terms of what my style is, would actually connect with. Like, now, like, people watch me, like, get thrown through some shit at the No Holds Barred shows, but they've seen me go through some shit at the death matches, like when I got cut through, like, my leg and I almost fucking got killed. And then the match with Matt, when I get the stab wound, it's I'm fighting through shit. I'm fighting because I want to finish. I want to survive, and it's just funny how these things kind of, you know, they develop a meaning over time. But then Sei Ozawa-san, who designed my new shirt, which pre-orders are going in today, he brought it up of how Jun Kasai, you know, a man I admire, said that deathmatch is not a fight to die. Deathmatch is a fight to survive. And I was like, and when he said that to me, I was like, fuck me. God damn it. All this shit just keeps coming back and it keeps brought up to me. When I read that fight to survive, I was like, okay, this is my song for the rest of my indie career, man. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get signed. Like, if MLW came calling, I know I'd have to get like a custom theme. But I was like, if I'm on an independent show, that's going to be the song. If I'm in Japan, that's going to be the song.
Awesome.
Because like it means everything to not just what I've been through, it just means everything to Akira, and it stands for what I want to do in pro wrestling or in deathmatch. I want to
You have that fighting spirit.
Yeah.
You definitely have that fighting spirit in you. That is like, it works.
Those shows, the Japanese fans, because I have a friend now on Instagram who, like, if Google Translate doesn't translate something clearly enough for me, I asked them, and they were saying, like, yeah, the fans basically are just saying that you have a ton of fighting spirit. And I was like personally, because going back to people saying, oh, you're not strong style, you don't have that style in you.
Right.
I'm like, that's just like the big that the Japanese fans recognizing that means more to me than anything. It basically just means like I'm doing something right, and the fact that they're noticing it. And I've had a couple people message me and say, or at least tag me on Twitter and talk to me and say, we want you to come to Japan one day. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing something right, man. Like, that's what I've noticed is, like, pro wrestling is universal, and like fighting spirit and the will that you can encompass in pro wrestling is universal. And like the fact that it's working, man, like it almost brought a tear to my eye when I got some of those tweets when I was told them. I was like, it's that manly thing where like you don't want to cry, so you're just like, all right, fuck yeah, that's really cool. That falls the plateau that many people have.
That's great.
That's just shit I've been working 2 years for, and the fact that that what I did on those shows is reaching across the world. I'm like, that means the most to me. Like when Sakura tweeted out at me and was like, I didn't know who this fucking dude was that I watched. He's like, he said the match was amazing. Then I discovered he was wrestling. This guy's only been wrestling for 2 years, and I was like, I'm not there yet. I'm not stuck for a while until I'm where I want to be with my career, where I can be like, I don't want to, not where I can like coast, where I know I'm like, okay, I'm at an untouchable level, but like I can see that I'm doing something right with these guys that I'm watching on IWTV like a week before the show happens are messaging me and following me and talking to me.
You're amazing. You are amazing.
The thing that people tell me is like, Matt told me this too. He's like, make sure you just stay humble, man. And like, that's one thing I strive for. Like, people like always, all the compliments in the world, and I'm just like, I'm not there yet. Like, thank you for, like, I'm always like, thank you for the compliment. It means so much to me that you think I can do that. I will try my best. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to keep working hard. Like, that's generally, like, I say that a lot on Twitter. It's because I mean it. I don't want to be that big-headed dude where it's like, oh man, I got booked on this show, I'm better than everybody. It's like, no, dude, I've got so much more to do. I've got so much more work to do, and I'm just ready to do it. And the fact that like the pandemic and the quarantine had me bottled up for so long, the fact that I kind of like shot out of a cannon, and people think I can climb and be this big independent wrestling star, just like, like the Warhorse and Alley Cat and like all these guys, and I can do all this for the people that like I can do this for the deathmatch scene. They think I can do that. I'm not saying I can do it, but I'm going to strive my best to do it because I want to help everybody around me. And if I can do that, I can. I will. Like that's who I am. Pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny. We had Matt Tremont on recently, and he was saying a lot of this stuff as well. So, but you're amazing.
Matt and Nick are, like, especially from hanging around with Matt and hanging around with Nick, those are two guys that I aspire to be what they are to the other guys and girls. Like, they're people that people can look up to and respect that way. It's the most admirable thing. Like, when I saw Nick Gage and I first really met him and he talked to me about my matches and stuff, like, I was like, I want to be this. I don't want to be this dude, but I want to be what this dude is, you know?
Awesome.
Same with Matt.
Awesome. No, they're great people. They really are. So, oof. Wow. Here, let's keep this moving. So, here's the question that I ask everybody that comes onto this podcast. It's my infamous question. What is the craziest thing a fan's done to get your attention?
Well, when I first started, I had a lot of fans that would do, like, really sexual stuff or try to, like, they do, like, a lot of sexual stuff. I had one, like, I was going out and, I'm interacting with the crowd. I'm, like, leaning up against, like, the guardrail. One, like, put a $1 bill in the front of my pants. No, it wasn't a $1 bill. It was, like, a $5 bill. And then I was like, what the fuck? She slapped my ass. I was like, what the shit? It's like match 4 in. So, like, I'm in, like, complete culture shock. I'm like, what the fuck? And she, like, winked at me. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, I guess. That's the craziest, I think.
Oh, my God.
Because, like, after that, it's just been, like, everybody's been, like, really tame after that.
Oh, my goodness. You dived right in. Like, wow. Oh, God, I don't know how these people do this stuff.
But that's not even counting, like, all the DMs I've got, like, on Instagram from, like, guys and girls, like, sending me shit that I don't want to see. I'm like, especially the guys, man. Like, I had one dude, like, he was like, hey, I know you're not gay. I'm like, dude, he's like, I am. I find you really attractive. And I was like, I think you're a great wrestler. I'm like, oh, dude, that's a problem, man. That's great. You know, you be you and you be happy being you. But what he did after was he sent me 40 dick pics in a row.
Oh,
and
my
I'm just like,
God.
And I was like, why would you do that? He's like, I couldn't control myself. I was like, block.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Dude, like,
it just went 0 to 100 so quick.
I blocked him. He made, like, 15 other, like,
no,
to try to keep messaging me.
Stop. What is wrong with the... Oh, I can't. What is wrong with people?
God.
I don't know, man.
Oh, no. I could never. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
I've had a lot of inappropriate messages. I mean, it's...
Okay.
Like, this is when I was single, too, from, like, but from women and stuff, and I'd just be like, no, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. Like, some woman would come up to me at shows and, like, mutter stuff to me, and I'm like, no, thank you. I find you gross. No. I'm excited to meet you, but I would not do anything with you. No.
Oh, no.
I try to be as nice as possible, but man, they make it really fucking hard.
April said in the chat that girl gave you a tip.
I think she expected a tip in return, and I wasn't really good.
I'm dead. I'm done. Oh, no. All right, go ahead, Ray. Let's move on.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, no, he's so cute. See, I'm here for wholesome content. The face. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. I'm sold.
So here we go. This is where I'm gonna end off my final question here. So, real big one here. What's the end goal? What do you want the legacy of Akira to be?
I mean, I'll start with this in the simplest terms, but honestly, the most broad. I want to be the most successful. I want to be the best hybrid. So I want to be the best pro wrestler. But also want to be the best deathmatch wrestler. So, like, I want to do that not just for me, so I can elevate the art of deathmatch, and I can elevate the guys around me that some people, don't look at. But in terms of, like, career, I mean, well, first off, I'd like to win a goddamn championship at some point. That still hasn't happened. But I mean, I guess I got to put more work in. But in the end, I really want to go and be in. I want to go to like Big Japan. I want to go to Freedoms, obviously. I want to go there and like be the best around the world. But I also do want to go to like Pro Wrestling Noah or All Japan or New Japan, and I want to be as successful as I can be in there. And then, you know, if a TV contract in America comes when I'm like in my mid-30s, cool, you know. So I'd have done all that stuff. I'd have had like this legacy behind me. But I also want to help the indies as much as I can too. So like, it's not, obviously it's not a baby. ICW No Holds Barred is like, it's a project of mine. I want to help in any way as I can because like they've done so much for me already. I want to give back to them, and I want to, as much as they want to elevate me, I want to help elevate them as far as they can go. But then I would also like to go, maybe, you know, when I'm in my mid-30s, or Coda, please don't bite the wasp.
Oh no.
he's like trying to fight it. Leave it alone. I would like to eventually. I just want to be the best. I want to be the best. I want to be the most successful, and I want to be able to go to those companies and say, yeah, I, as a who first found my name in death matches, went to these pro wrestling companies, and I'm just as good, if not better, than all these guys here, and I have the accolades to show it. And then at the end of the day, I would like to make a living for my family, so that I can support my girlfriend, my dog, whatever kids may come. I want to be able to open a dojo one day and train people in my way. And not even like in my way, in like my philosophy of what wrestling is.
Oh.
And hold on a second. Touching outside because it's nice outside.
Yes. The puppies.
All the dogs outside.
Yes.
But I want to do that, and I want to pay it forward with the community too at some point. Like I would love to be on TV. I'm honestly, until things change culture-wise at WWE, I'd honestly never want to work there. And I feel like just with the track record, I would not be happy there. But if like, you know, MLW, Impact, AEW came along, I wouldn't say no to it. Down the line when I've done all those things, and I'm like, okay, let's do something completely different, because like the wrestling that I'm doing now is very it's match oriented. So when going to a company like that and being very TV oriented, that's a project I would like to do down the line at some point. But I don't have any dreams or aspirations for it right now. Like some people, you know, are tweeting, hey, Akira versus Cody, and I'm like, no. Like, that's Warhorse's thing. I want that to be Matt's thing. Like, I still vouch for that shit to this day. I want Tremont versus Cody, because I know he's been wanting for 2 years. He says, like, no, let the other guys have it. I'm like, no, Matt, stop. I'm gonna keep screaming. I'm gonna scream at the wall for you if you won't do it.
Aw. He's
But
good peeps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's done a lot for me that other people would not do in his situation. Whether he knows it or not, like, he is forever gonna have like a place in here that like I can't like wipe away. He's always been a wonderful person to me, and he's given me lots of advice, just as much as Marcus and Schlack. I want, if I can do anything to help get that, I think he's the one who will do it. But yeah, like that's kind of what I want to do. Like I basically kind of want to do everything, but that's what I want to do. I want to be the best in both. I want to be the most successful, and I want to help any way I can with the people around me. And if a TV contract comes around and I can make all that money for doing less, but it's not something I'm gung ho about.
Right.
That's the fans to want. That's not for me to want.
Cool. All right. So let's ask. We took a lot of your time. So let's ask one final question. So to finish this off, to all inspiring and amateur wrestlers out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Don't stay where you're at. I've learned most of what I've learned through hopping in cars. Like people say that getting cars off the road don't do it with like your friends. Don't do it with do it with people you don't know, because like that's half of how I've gotten to where I'm at right now is hopping in the car with people I didn't know. I did not know Aiden Blackheart when I first met him. I did not know the Rejects or Shane Mercer when I first met them, and I hopped in the car with them. I just did it. Don't get out of your comfort zone. If you want to be a 40 mile, like a guy that runs 40 miles, great. Like I have nothing against that. That's cool. But if you say you really want to do this, hop in the goddamn car and just go. Like, let's say, hey, work, I gotta go. I'm doing this thing. Go. Like that's the best thing you can do, and just be open. Always be open to ideas and things, but make sure that you also do things that's right for you. Because at the end of the day, these people can give you suggestions and whatnot, but if it doesn't sit right with you, at the end of the day, you wrestle for you. Like you're your own wrestler. If it doesn't fit you or it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Just listen. That's the one thing I will also say is, listen. That whole thing is shut up and listen. Yeah, shut up and listen. But while you listen, make sure you're actually listening to what they say and discern. Be an adult, be a mature person, and discern whether their advice is good for you or wrong for you. Because some people's advice for you won't work, and some people's advice for you will. Like, for example, I've done mist at some point, like blood mist, and the first person that suggested it to me was Anil, like my second match in, because I wore like the mask. He's like, oh, you're like moving. It's like, you should spit blood, man. And I'm like, that's so. I was like, just because I'm Asian, you think I should spit blood? That's so cliche. Oh, and here I am 2 years later. I spit mist when I'm bloody. It's that thing of like always listen, and you never know. Because like some advice that doesn't work then could work now. Some advice that worked when they suggested it might not work later on. Always be able to adapt. That's the best thing. Shut up, listen, and be ready to adapt and say no.
And get in a car and
drive. Do not stay in your state. Do not get in cars with people where you're not going to learn anything out of, or have no experience, or like they have nothing to show with it. Get in the vehicles of guys that have done something, or they have some kind of like name value, even if it's just in the state or in a state somewhere else, because you'll learn more from it.
Right.
But I've learned more from riding with John, Reed, Aiden, and Shane than I've learned in seminars. So just do it. It's what we do, man.
It's great advice. Great
be
advice.
Humble. Like, for God's sakes, just because you get a little bit of success, don't be humble. Like I still tell myself every morning,
like when I look in
the mirror, I'm like, hey man, you're not there yet. We have work to do. Like, be humble. Like, humility is going to be your greatest fucking ally in this shit, because people don't want to help an egotist who laughs.
And we're in a state now where people don't want to fuck with egotistical assholes.
So just be a nice person, man. Like,
and if you do make a mistake, and if someone thinks you did something wrong, apologize. Even if you didn't do something wrong, still apologize. Look, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry to take it that way, but I will learn from it and not do that next time.
Yeah.
Like, I still learn that to this day. Like, I like to think sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world, but then you learn something the next day. It teaches you even more humility, because you're like, okay, that's new. Like, I have like this now. I have like all these eyes on me in terms of social media. I'm doing shit every day that I did not think I didn't think about, because 4 weeks ago nobody gave a shit what I tweeted. Now it's like, if these people can take things the wrong way, and that's not how you intend it, and it's just like you have to apologize. It's like, if you just didn't do that to begin with, it would have been avoided, and there would have been no shit. Like, that's just how it is. Be humble, be willing to learn, jump in a fucking car, and just, I seriously mean it, be ready and willing to learn and change, because who you think you are now, it might not be you years down the road. You never know. I'm not me that I was 2 years ago.
All right. That's great advice.
Take notes, people.
Yes, people.
Take notes.
Thank you.
And once again, you can also tell me to fuck off, because who am I? I'm a guy who's kind of popping off. But like, that's stuff that I've learned, and that I've learned helped me in the long run. Because I've only been wrestling for 2 years, but like that's advice that I've learned from people much higher in the resume, much higher on the totem pole than me, who have been doing it a lot longer, and it's helped. So I mean, if that stuff that I'm saying helps, cool, man. And if you want to tell me to fuck off, that's cool. I'm more than willing to fuck off, go back to my apartment, not talk to people.
That's too funny. Tell everybody where they can find you on social.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the Akira Way. That's like my handle on everything. I'm on Twitch at the Exotic Weapon, and I have my new store with once again, guys, like this merch store. It's through the Indie Connection, so I'm gonna have a whole bunch of weird and like cool stuff coming up that you guys didn't even think about would be possible or would happen. But that's what's gonna happen. That's theakiraway.com. That's done through the Indie Connection. They do ship international, which I'm really excited about. And the Sei Ozawa design will be available on the debut of the Deathmatch Circus. And I will also say, yes, the t-shirts on that website are a little bit more expensive, but they're also they're a really quality design. They're really quality material that you can't get anywhere else. So they're going to be a little bit more expensive, but they're going to be 1,000 times the shirt. But the ones I'm going to have at shows are going to be just as good. Those are done through Powerbomb Prints.
Perfect.
So they've done a bunch of great shit for me too.
Awesome. Well,
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us on Under the Ropes. We really appreciate you, and we'll be rooting for you at all the upcoming shows that you have, especially the ICW show.
Oh yeah, ICW. I'm not going to say anything else. I have the one with Oren on night 2. Whatever announcements may come, who knows? On August 15th, I have a no rope barbed wire death match in Knoxville, Tennessee, against Colt 45. So if you want to see me go full Zack Sabre Jr. and twist this dude with barbed wire, come watch.
Awesome.
Also have AWR in Indianapolis, Asylum Wrestling Revolution. They're my baby, my pet project in Indianapolis. I'm trying to do my best for them. You'll see me in a Falls Count Anywhere match against Corey Storm, who is of OVW notoriety. So if you want to come see the deathmatch dude beat the shit out of Al Snow's little baby boy, please come watch, because it's going to be really cathartic for me.
Awesome. We're so excited for your journey. And again, like we said, we appreciate that you came onto the podcast.
Especially on this level, it's just started, and I'm ready to go. I want to turn this shit into a full-time deal. And like I'm ready to go, take all the bookings. I'm ready to travel. I'm getting my passport again. The merch is going. Like it's hopefully by this time next year, this is like my full-time job.
Well, we're rooting for you, like we said. Again, we got your back, definitely. Yep. So, guys, book him. And make sure you book him anywhere like New York and New Jersey so me and Ray can go.
Definitely.
But also, I'm willing to go anywhere, man. Like, so I know some people will only go so far. Like, if you book me you give me a Greyhound, I'll jump in the fucking Greyhound and I'll go. Most people won't do that because Greyhounds suck ass, but I'll do it.
Hey,
I really want to get out there, and I really want to wrestle, and I really want to show people what I can really fucking do. And the fact
there you go, making those towns.
Yeah, the fact that there's wrestling fans that really want to see me in like normal wrestling matches too. I'm like that's all I need to hear. I'm like, look, let's go, man. Give me the death matches, give me the normal matches. I'll fight anyone. I don't give a shit.
Perfect. I can't wait to come meet you in person. I'm gonna get to one of these shows soon to come see you. So I'm a little nervous coming out to some shows because of everything. But I will come, and we're gonna take a picture. Please don't hit me with a light tube, even though I like them.
I hit you with the sword that I carry around. So.
Oh God.
Tiff, don't start getting ideas.
I love light tubes, and I need them. I need them.
Never mind. That's not what I meant. Jesus Christ.
No, I love light tubes. I go nuts. I crack up every time when light tubes get hit. So I love it. So no, legit. But anyway, again, thank you guys so much for watching episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany. That's the Law, Ray Ramundo. And thank you, Akira, so much again We can't wait to see your journey going forward. We appreciate you. All right. Bye, guys.
There's something